I want to connect this to the last football story I want to touch.
To what? The circus?
Is that what you call it? The circus? Well, because a week ago today, we were trying to, you know where I'm going? A week ago today, we were trying to figure out what the Falcons were doing, okay? Like taking Michael Penix, 8th overall, after they paid Kirk Cousins $100 million in the offseason. I know, I'm still a week later, I'm still processing it. But in the meantime, I saw this article from Mike Sando in The Athletic where he had like NFL personnel people unfiltered. Anonymous off-the-record quotes, you know they're going to let loose, right? One of them said about the Falcons, because going back to Justin Fields, like I said this last week, and many have said it as well. It's like if you were going to take Michael Penix at 8, you could have taken a stopgap or a bridge starter. And at one point, Justin Fields, we thought he was earmarked for Atlanta. We thought he was going to Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Going home. This is what an anonymous former GM said to The Athletic. I'd love to know what the conversations were in Atlanta leading up to that and why there was no adult supervision. That adult supervision line, that stung. Truth be told, they could be good next year with Kirk Cousins, come away with the 25th or 26th pick, and then you take a quarterback in that range. That is what Green Bay did with Jordan Love, and it's fundamentally different from what Atlanta just did, which is why so many of us had an issue with the pick. But the adult supervision part, and you had the same reaction. Yeah, it feels loaded.
And you know, it's loaded, and this is what happens. Now, I got to be consistent in this regard. When Chris Ballard went off about all the people ripping on A.D. Mitchell and was like, hey, this is, I hate when we do this, we tear kids down and all this stuff. Anonymous, put your name to it.
Yeah.
Now, as a journalist, I don't always need you to put your name to it. I need it to be true. I need it to be something that I can confirm and verify. Yeah. But there are some famous situations in journalism history where people have not put their names to it, but it's been very valuable anyway. But I'm just saying, like the anonymous part, if scouts talking about players are nasty, former GMs and league executives talking about other teams, oh, that's next level. That is next level nasty. Adult supervision, so that's somebody with an issue with. Now, who they got an issue with? Is it Fontenot? Is it Arthur? Who they got an issue with?
Right.
That is really, that's
Raheem Morris. Adult supervision,
of course.
Look, again, I didn't agree with it. I can't find many people who do agree with it, although I have, with the benefit of the last week and I could calm down, I do have some thoughts. At the end of the day, I still come back to it wasn't the right move, or they didn't do it the right way. But I also said, even as I recall going off last Friday, I still said that these people have put way more thought and research and time into this decision than we have. This is our knee-jerk reaction. So the adult supervision line just bothered me. And it also just bothered me. And I hope this isn't a stretch, but as a black man, it just hit differently as a black man, because we're talking about a black GM and a black head coach.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying this anonymous GM was calling them boy. Like, I'm not trying to go that deep down the rabbit hole. But I think when I the adult supervision line, just like, oh, wait, what do you mean? Like, hold on, these are grown-ass men that have worked to get where they are. And we can question their decision and disagree with their decision, but adult supervision connotes children, connotes underqualified or in over their head. And who should be, who are the adults that you think should have been in the room to tell me,
here's the other thing.
You know, that just rubbed me the wrong way.
Good observation, Mike. But I think also, this is why I said former GM. So what are we bringing into it? How are you a former GM by choice? Many of them are not.
Yeah.
Are you a former GM that feels like you could do the job better than Fontenot, than other GMs in the league? So like what kind what kind of baggage are you bringing to this conversation with Mike Sando? And because it is dangerous, even though we've done it. I know you've quoted people off the record or anonymously. Yeah. I've quoted people anonymously. Try not to make a habit out of it. I got to tell you, pat myself on the back. I've never done it in a book though. I've never done it in book form because I just feel like, that is this. If I'm really convinced about something, if it's that important, either I'm just not going to use it, or if it's that important, if I need to use it, I need a quote around it. If it's not going to be a quote around it, I can't use it. And so we're just so used to it. We're so used to it. I think we just we don't flinch enough at anonymous sources that are not as accusatory and as inflammatory as this one is. But a lot of them are. That's why I like Chris Ballard's comment. Like most of his comment was, we're tearing people down, and you could just sit there and just throw your rocks and throw your shots, and you have no accountability for it. And so sometimes you have these comments come up, and we just keep on going. And I think sometimes we should pause and say, wait a minute. I think that's a little bit too much.
But the criticism, look, like I said, I think I led with what the F are the Falcons doing, and so there are plenty.
You
of
led
us,
with it. Michael Smith.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Oh yeah, yes. But I mean, so I'm saying it's fine to wonder why would you do this. So, couple of thoughts occurred to me after Friday because we talked about it for a while, and most of it was just the shock. Yeah. So, still surprised. Still wouldn't have done it that way. The first thing that I would say is I feel for Michael Penix. Because that's just not the way somebody's, dream of being a first-round pick, everything he's worked for and been through to get to this point. You don't want to be a footnote. Nobody dreams of being a first-round footnote. And the player, the human being, is unfortunately a footnote to the football decision-maker's questionable choice of drafting him. He can't control who drafts him. Drafting him after they gave all this money to Kirk Cousins. Like he's walking into controversy that he did not create. Which leads me to the second point, which is as much as I love the draft, and a lot of times we talk about the draft and whether or not it's fair or it's un-American to the employees, it's fair to the employees or unfair to the employees, as in the players. It's through the prism of John Elway or Eli Manning. It's like, okay, I don't want to play for this dysfunctional team. But like in the case of Michael Penix, and there was a lot of that smoke or a lot of that noise, I should say, around Caleb Williams. Ironically, the Bears put him in a better position on paper, at least, than any number one pick has ever been in, coming into the league as a quarterback. But there was a lot of like, the Bears, historically, they ruined quarterbacks. Look what they just did to Justin Fields. He should have a power play. Caleb Williams should pull a power play and say he doesn't want to play for the Bears. If anybody was in position and was justified in pulling a power play and saying, I don't want to play for this team, it would be Michael Penix.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
To get drafted into a situation that you didn't create and drafted into a circus or chaos, and your GM is saying if he sits for 4 or 5 years, that's a good thing. For who? Not for him. It's like, who says, you know what, I can't wait to sit for 4 or 5 years. And look,
can you imagine
much like Jordan Love, no, I can't. Much like Jordan Love, much like Aaron Rodgers, like he might benefit from sitting for a year or even 2. The list is long of quarterbacks who it was nice to come into the league and just be able to watch and learn from a veteran. But it's different to watch versus waste away. He's as pro-ready as they come from a maturity standpoint, a mental standpoint, a physical standpoint. He's ready to play now. Now you got to wait because somebody else decided that it was in their best interest to get him to wait. Last thing, and I'll give it to you on this point. From the Falcons' perspective, I do think there is something to be said for not drafting for need in the top 10. Because don't they say that they get you in trouble? So if Penix was the best player on their board, he was the best player on their board. No, I still don't agree with it.
I know.
I still don't agree with it.
I'd be shocked if he was the best player on their board at 8.
Okay.
If Michael Penix is your best player on your, well, you got to question your board.
Reevaluate your board.
Your board's
You
wrong.
should reevaluate.
That's right. Your board's
Okay.
wrong.
That's fair. So that would make it even worse if it was a quarterback that they didn't need and they reached. That'd be a double whammy. But I'm saying, like, if he were the best player on their board, I could see why they would say we have an opportunity to get a guy for beyond life after Kirk Cousins that was special. This is a unique set of circumstances. Having said all that, I don't think they should have done it. It should have been one or the other. Either don't pay Kirk Cousins or go another direction at quarterback or try to trade back. Easier said than done. Takes two, whatever. But just some thoughts.
This is the last thing I'll say.
Follow-up thoughts I had on it. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and I'm glad you did. This is the last thing I'll say on it. This is it. This is all I got to say on it. The day it happened, I went back and I said, okay, did I overstate that? This is one of the 5 worst decisions in Falcons history. And I thought about it. No, it's not. I didn't overstate it. It is one of the 5 worst decisions in Falcons history because, like many bad decisions, it's not just the decision, it's the ripples that come from it. So this bad decision to take Michael Penix at number 8, not to draft Michael Penix, but to draft him at number 8 when you were in the bottom 5 in all defensive categories in the NFL last year, and you've got a defensive-minded head coach, and you've got the opportunity to really compete in the NFC South, you take a quarterback at number 8. It's not only bad there. It's bad because now you've affected, as you pointed out, the outlook of that young quarterback, Michael Penix. You've affected your relationship that you're still building with Kirk Cousins. You didn't help your team immediately at a great position in a draft where you had your pick of the best. I don't know. Okay, so whoever the best defensive player was on their board versus Michael Penix, I'm guessing the defensive player was here and Penix was there. The best defensive, you had your pick. You could have taken anybody. Hell, you could have taken Rome Odunze if you wanted to. You could have taken an offensive player.
I don't think anybody would have minded if they took Rome. I think some people thought they would take Rome. Yeah.
Who was probably rated higher than his college quarterback, Michael Penix. So you didn't help the team, but more than that, everybody's watching. And the guys in that building say, you know what, these guys, they say a lot. I don't trust them. You've already eroded the trust in your building before you started training camp. Really, really bad decision that I think they will be paying for multiple years.
That was just giving me Calvin Candy vibes. From time to time, adult supervision is required. I'm like, damn, like adult supervision. Man. It's like,
don't start doing that.
We don't agree with the decision, but like, I'm not about to like sit up here and disrespect these dudes and be like,
exactly.
Yo,
don't question if
y'all don't belong.
If I have the ability to, if I'm authorized to make, major decisions, now you are being disrespectful.
I also don't think I think it's not in a vacuum. You talk about decisions that have ripple effects. It's also not in a vacuum. I think Atlanta, more than anybody else who hired a coach, probably because of the article that came out about Robert Kraft and what he may or may not have told Arthur Blank about trusting Bill Belichick, and the fact that the Falcons seem to be the closest to hiring Belichick. It's like that pick happening after they're deciding not to hire the greatest coach of all time. You can't disassociate those two decisions.
That's true.
From each other.
That's true.
That didn't help matters either. All right, big dog. Have a good week next week. I'll see you on the other side.
Yes, indeed. You have a good week as well. And we'll talk when we get back. We'll have some more good stuff to talk about. Like some draft stuff, our own draft stuff. I'm excited about this.
I don't think anybody cares about our dynasty team. I'm gonna go on a little.
I think they do.
I think they care about our dynasty teams. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Especially after some of the great moves I've made lately. So
I'm glad you care. You went from giving me shit for doing it all the time. Like, bro, you way more active than me now. You making up for lost time. Like every time you look, you making a trade.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.